Uh-oh. Hey, thanks for watching the channel, Paintucation by Kevin Tetz. We appreciate you being here. So, a good friend of mine and a wise person once told me, if you got to borrow it more than twice, you probably need to buy one. This is my car hauler, and I love this thing. I've had this for, gosh, probably close to 14 years now. It's a Featherlight, it pulls like butter. It's a great trailer. I've had to do some upgrades on it over the years, and when I first got it, I put the air dam and the tongue box on it, and it did not have a winch. Of course, if you deal with garbage cars like I do all the time, you need a winch on a trailer. So here's my winch. There it is, in all its glory. It's magnificent. And by magnificent, I mean, I can't believe how long that thing has lasted. It's an ATV winch, and it meant to go on a quad, right? And I put it on there, it was all I could afford at the time, and I thought, well, you know, I'll run this thing till it burns out. This is literally the Stonehenge of winches. If you've ever seen a movie called This Is Spinal Tap, the scene in Stonehenge where things are disproportioned, that's what this winch is. It's the Stonehenge winch. But it has held up. It's full-size trucks, cars, it's done a great job until I went to go get this thing. And this is the donor floor and the donor, well, let's see, donor interior for the 280ZX. It's a BMW, yeah, it's an E91 or something like that. It's a 3 Series BMW with beautiful interior, great seats, and it's got the transmission configuration I need to transpose all of this stuff over to my Z car and make a fabulous sports car. So that's what this is doing here. So I completely toasted the winch, pulling this thing up on it. It was the last hurrah. It's the last thing that winch is ever going to do, and I let the smoke out of it hardcore. So it's done. The winch is connected to the tongue box here. Well, the tongue box, the shock is absolutely worn out. So got to do something with that. We've got an Optima battery in here, which has been here the whole time. I've never had to change this battery. It still holds a charge. It does great. And I'm kind of afraid of what's underneath all of these broken straps. We've got some zip ties. I'm sort of embarrassed about what's in here. And it's time. It's time to upgrade the winch. And I want to show you the winch that I got because I got a great deal on it, and it's a name brand. It's a Warren winch. I got it from the guys at AMD. They were upgrading their enormous Death Star trailer, and I got it for a song. So that's part of the thing that we're going to do today is do a trailer upgrade. And the first thing I got to do is get this car off. Presents a challenge. Normally what I would do was set the ramps. It's on a slant, roll it back, let it roll down the ramps, and gently let it out. How? With the winch? Yeah, no bueno. Can't happen. Yeah. Yeah. So we got to get creative. So we're going to do something might be considered sketchy. I'm okay with it. Throw tomatoes and rocks at the screen, but you got to do what you got to do sometimes. doing is not necessarily dangerous. It just requires ignoring some common sense. Does that make sense? Yeah. All right, so I've got the back chocks, right? But here's what I did. I let go, took the front straps off, and I want to show you this. This is part of the spool for this winch. It's done. You can see in here, spool gone. But watch this. It still lets out. So I don't have to do sketchy stuff. What I can do now, since the back tires are flat, thanks Chris, I could carefully roll this thing off down the actual ramps, and I don't have to drive the trailer out from under it. So that's a really good thing. That makes me happy. And it's, winch, I almost hate to replace it now. I'm going to, but I almost hate to. But it's all, I'm just saying, it's helping out one last time. So now I can just roll it back here, and the car can be about here, right? More spool pieces. All right, so come on, little winch. Let's see what you got. This might not be as easy as I thought. There's no engine or transmission in this car, and it won't roll downhill. It probably weighs 3,000 pounds. I have no words. All right, let's see if this works a little bit better. Huh, imagine that. Uh-oh. Thank goodness for the flat tires in the back. That way it didn't roll into my fence. So we're good right here. And now I'm just gonna drive the dang trailer out from under the car. What do you think? Is that weird? Is that sketchy? Quite the difference between this one and the existing one. 8,000 pounds. I don't know what the poundage is for that one. I don't know, but it's not the same. Also, I'm going to put a synthetic rope instead of a wire cable or steel cable. I like the idea of them better, and there's some other changes you got to make. You can't have a roller fair lead with it. You got to have a Haas fair lead like this. So these came from that store, and this is a giant winch plate. We got a hook, and this came with the winch. So obviously this is not a plug and play. There's some things we got to do. I've got to reconnect power to the back of the controller box, and we've got to route power from the battery to the winch. So I think that's the first thing I'm going to do. No, I tell you what, the first thing I'm going to do is to have a moment of silence for that guy and remove it. This will wait. I got to get rid of that, and I got to clean that tongue box. It's terrible, terrible. All right, so this is a battery maintainer. That's probably the biggest part of the reason that battery is still good. We're going to leave that connected. But this right here is the control box for the mini winch, for the Stonehenge. And we've got our positive lead, negative lead right here. And I just kind of figured out that the reason this is so cluttered up is because I've got just bundles of random cables hanging there. So that's coming off. So, okay, so here's my maintainer. Here's the other half of the maintainer, and this is a battery tender, and it's as old as everything else on there. And this, I think, because there was exposed hot 12-volt leads, I think Ian or my buddy TC made this little cover, because this trailer has seen some show cars get transported all over the world. And by all over the world, I mean to Las Vegas. We've gone to SEMA a couple of different times with this joker, and it's been a great trailer. And I thank you for your service. You can see the routing here. This goes through this bulkhead and through the end gate of the trailer over to the backside of the winch. And I will probably use that routing again for cables. It's probably going to be a lot bigger hole. I'm just going to put some battery power to it, and I got to get that lead off. Okay, I got to get the lead off, get to the bolt heads, otherwise I can't get it off from the bottom, and there's really nothing flammable here, so my compulsion to burn the trailer to the ground won't do me any good because it's not combustible. Wrong way. All right, here we go. See how easy that was? Now that the C's have parted, I get a fastener on the top end of that bolt. There's one on the back side. And then get under the bottom, struggle a little bit more, and this thing will come right out. I remembered installing this thing, and I had to do the same thing installing it. I'm going to hold these top bolts with a locking plier. And can I do both, maybe? Maybe I can. Okay, so that's an overachiever. So I've got a wrench on the front one, locking plier on the back one, and if I do the dance carefully enough, I'll be able to loosen both of them on the bottom side. Got my safety goggles and a wrench. I'll get my creeper.
Fifteen minutes later.
This thing did not want to go quietly. So thank you, little winch that could. It's still good. Well, not good. The spool is completely gone. Here's more pieces of it. But also, awesome testimonial to good grade 8 hardware. All right, so a little bit of tidy up here. And bid this thing a fond farewell. Thank you for your service. So step 1 is our winch base. And I want to set it as far ahead as possible. Just probably there. $23 3/4 to the center, 23 3/4 to the center. Okay, one more trip underneath. Okay, so the really good news is that I've got lots of clear floor space under here. We're not interfering with the frame or the tongue, and I can just use big fat flat washers and anchor this thing down and have access to all of them. So I've got some good grade 8 hardware and some big flat washers, and we're going to do 4 mounting points for the winch plate, supported by these guys, which will spread the load and give a good clamping force and secure this silly thing. So we're not exactly centered, but I want to go through the flat part here. Right here we've got some drain holes, so that's good. So that's where it's going to sit. And that was painful, but at least it was awkward. All right. So now we know where the winch plate is. There's our stuff right there. There's some homework to do on the winch itself. I have got to connect the wires that were mysteriously unconnected, and I've got to, I'm gonna have to get some battery cables from the parts store to go through, connect to the battery, and then we can mount our rope to the spool. Yeah. So we've got 4 mounting positions on the winch right here. I've also got to get some hardware that I know works with that. That ain't no big deal. That's just getting some bolts and Then we're on the home stretch, I think. Okay. So this is obviously a ground. So I found instructions from Warren that were totally useless, didn't show me anything. And I went to YouTube and searched about 75 videos, and I finally found somebody that broke this down to where I can understand it. So I took a screenshot by my phone, and I know where to put the wires now. This is just how my day's going. It's really good. Man. How's your day going? Is it like this? So I'm gonna go do a little road trip to the O'Reilly store. So before I put the top cover back on and get that back mounted onto the winch base, I've got to attach my cables. And I decided to use pre-terminated cables just because I've got to feed them backwards through my hole in the air dam. So what that means, I've got to put my battery in. So we're going to start the battery in, then we'll drill the dang hole, and then we'll get everything connected that way. But this thing's nasty, so I'm going to clean it up a little bit first and get these terminal ends off. So that's what I'm doing right here, right now. Ow. All right, let's see what we got on the other side. That should work to the back of the control, and this is to the ground. This is right about there. That should be fine. I'm going to put some silicone in there, as well as the other side, just to make sure that I'm grommeted successfully. that little, I knew it was a ground, but it goes back here with the main ground that goes to the battery ground. So we're in good shape there. Our bolts are done here. When I get up enough nerve to lay on my back again, we'll get everything started there. But this is where it goes. This is installed, right? So now we're going with a synthetic rope and not a cable. But we've got to get it threaded onto the spool. But yeah, if you can see the attachment right here, I've got to pin that behind that washer. And all you guys out there that have done these winches before, and Ian, if you're watching, I know. Now we'll put some power to it, and as the cool kids say, feed the beans, something like that. All right, so here's the moment of truth. I guess I probably should have tested this thing before I installed it on the trailer. That's a good sign. All right, so we're free spool right there. We're gonna switch to engaged. There's, all right. So it's bringing it in. All right, so now I'm gonna guide it in, get an even spool on it. And so I'm gonna give this just one last little snug right here. That's fine. And I know there's a stretch procedure with this, but we're not going to do that right now. I've got the ginormous hook now to put on it, and I need a cutting instrument to get that loose. That wasn't that hard, was it? Whoa. That's where it's going to ride for now. Now we'll get our grade 8 nylock nuts and flat washers under the bottom, and that's going to wrap this thing up, pretty much. There we go. All right, so that's all I needed. I'm going to fill that with RTV, and we'll hook this positive and negative to the battery. There we go. Oh, that's what I wanted. All right, so now we're weatherproof here. Ish, whatever that keeps it out of the weather. Yeah, someday when I've got more than a minute and a half to do it. There, okay, that's how that needs to go. And I'll just connect this to the cables, and Bob is going to be our uncle. Man, this is exciting. All right, everything's cleaned up, and I've done a little bit of organizing, and it's been overnight. Clock has gone like that. So I used RTV, and I filled in the rest of this grommet right here so that that's not going to chafe. We've got a cushion clamp right there holding it, and I also RTV'd this guy on both sides. So now I've got a port for my maintainer. And all of that is ship shape and ready. And I've got the pig mat down below too, so it doesn't sound like a big box of rocks shaking going down the road. One thing I was not able to do locally is get this. This is just a 12-inch universal lift or a strut, whatever you want to call it. Nobody has this except for the Jungle Store, and I went there, so it's coming, whatever. Bungee cords, we got a bungee cord. But I went to the other store that sometimes I resent, but actually I'm grateful that they're here. It's the Harbor Freight store, and I got some stuff. So I want you to show you, yeah, what we got going on over here. So I went and got a little toolbox. This is like a 60-piece something, pliers, universal stuff, maybe some sockets. This is my strap bag. I organized some other tie straps. I've got my tongue lock. This will go in there, and a wheel chock will go in there. Also, gloves, some PPE, winch controller, screwdrivers, because got the four-way, because you got to have a four-way, some flashlights. Here's my battery tender. This is something that I've actually had in there for a while. This is a wheel bearing kit, and some other bearings and seals. The all-important locking lug socket, right? And just some miscellaneous stuff in here. I've got locks and extra linch pins and things like that. So it sounds like an amazing amount of stuff to fit in there, but it all fits in there. So I'm going to load this up, and we're going to stand back and take a look at the new refurb, right? So this satisfies something in my brain, and when I look at this, it's clean. It's not perfect, it's not super detailed, but it's clean. I've checked the tires. There's good air pressure in the tires. My tongue box, now I'm ready for a road trip or a recovery. And I don't have to worry about that dinky little winch breaking on me again like it did on the last recovery that we did. This thing, I'm gonna get a cover for it. It's bad to the bone, and it's an 8,000-pound winch. I could get the whole rig out of a hole if I needed to with this thing. And this makes me feel better. And you know, everybody gets to the point to where you just don't have time to do stuff, and it gets pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. And I know everybody's busy. We're busy, you're busy, we're all busy. But this satisfies something really deep in my brain, knowing that I've got this taken care of. So is it the most exciting YouTube? I don't know. No, I know it's not. But this is my life, man. This is our life here, me and camera guy, and this is something that came up, and we put it off until it was a dire need to get taken care of. So here we are. So thank you for watching. We've got Camaro stuff coming up. We've got really, really aggressive builds coming up, and I don't know, more training stuff, and we're just doing what we do. So thanks for being a part of it. Thanks for subscribing, buying the merch. We just appreciate you guys. So have a great rest of your weekend. And if you're watching this on a Tuesday night, thanks.